So we're going to be working through these questions before us, and what I want you to take note of before we begin here is that they all have negative angles. So we're going to have to remember our properties of negative angles when dealing with sine, cos, and tan. We learned about this in our previous lesson. So these are the rules that you need to remember. So when you have cos of a negative angle, it's just the same thing as cos of that angle. So you just ignore the negative. When you have sine of a negative angle, you take that negative out to the front. And so too, when you have tan of a negative angle, you again take that negative out to the front. So we need to keep this in mind as we approach these questions here. So let's zoom in and let's give them a go. All right, so for this first one here, I have cos of a negative angle. So that's just the same as cos of that angle itself. We can just ignore the negative. Then we break up 13 pi on 3. That's going to be the same as 12 pi on 3 plus pi on 3, because that adds up to 13 pi on 3. Cos of, now 12 pi on 3 is 4 pi plus pi on 3. And that means that I've just gone around the unit circle twice, so I can ignore that 4 pi, and it's just going to be cos of pi on 3. At this point, we would hope that you've memorized what cos of pi on 3 is. It's going to be a half. But if you are struggling, remember you can refer to your special triangles. So pi on 3 would be down here. 2, 1, the square root of 3. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so as you can see, it's a half. So there is our answer to the first one. Let's keep on moving. So now we have tan of a negative angle. So remember what you do is you take out that negative to the front, and now you just deal with this. We're again going to break up that angle. I'm going to break it up into 28 pi on 4 minus pi on 4. 28 pi, yep. And then once I've done that, let me just continue here. 28 on 4 is 7 pi minus pi on 4. And now you might be thinking to yourself, what would I do here? Well, let's stop for a moment and just consider something. 7 pi is the same as 6 pi plus pi, right? And then I still have this minus pi on 4 there. This 6 pi is just telling me that I'm going around the unit circle 3 times. So let's just ignore this and just deal with that. Pi minus pi on 4. So as you can see here, pi minus an angle is my second quadrant. So I'm in my second quadrant now. And then what is tan in my second quadrant? Tan in my second quadrant is negative. So that means, you know, I've already got a negative out the front, but I'm going to have to put another negative there. So it's going to be negative tan of just pi on 4 now. Like that. Oh, have I got too many brackets? No, that was the correct amount of brackets. What is tan of pi on 4? Tan of pi on 4 is just 1. So it's going to be negative 1. And of course, that's just going to cancel out and it's going to become positive 1. Again, if you're struggling to remember what tan of pi on 4 is, you're going to have to rely on your special triangle. And remember, it's the one that's a bit different to this. This is your pi on 4 angle right there. So in that corner there, then we've got 1, the square root of 2. And then tan is opposite over adjacent. 1 on 1 is 1. Perfect. Let's keep on going for this question. So we've got sine of negative 29 pi on 6. So again, what you do when you've got sine of a negative angle is you take out that negative to the front. And now we just deal with this. Then I would break this up. So it would become 30 pi on 6 minus pi on 6, because that's the same as 29 pi on 6. This is now going to become sine of 5 pi minus pi on 6. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to break up this 5 pi. So I'm going to break up this 5 pi into 4 pi plus pi minus pi on 6. Now I can just ignore this 4 pi because it's just saying I'm going around the unit circle twice. So it's just going to be pi minus pi on 6, which again is telling me that I'm in my second quadrant. Second quad. And I know that in the second quadrant, sine is positive. So the fact that it's positive means that I'm not going to put a negative out the front as I did over here. I'm just going to leave it as is. So there's still a negative there, but I'm not putting another one. This is going to be pi on 6. What is sine of pi on 6? It's a half, but because I've got a negative, it's going to be negative a half. Remember, if you're struggling to remember sine pi on 6, you could just come over here. This is pi on 6 over there. It would be opposite over hypotenuse, so a half. Perfect. And those are our answers. Hopefully you have found this useful and you have committed to memory these properties right here.